Parbram.
I'm Muskan.
I'm Archie.
And today we are going to watch how US has rehearsed attack on Iran. So this is very, very strange for us because, we have seen US attacking Iran some way or the other. But, having rehearsals for it, it is not a dance thing to do.
Yeah.
So let's see what US has already planned.
The Pentagon just pulled off a secret, full-scale rehearsal for a massive airstrike on Iran. And they did it in total silence.
What?
While the world was looking elsewhere, the US military quietly shifted into a full battle posture, moving the pieces on the board for a strike against Iran's most strategic targets. Analysts look for red flags before a single missile is loaded. And right now, the Pentagon is leaving 5 lethal fingerprints across the Middle East.
Oh.
Step 1. The fuel bridge. 100th Air Refueling Wing tankers, including the KC-46A Pegasus, are surging from the UK to Al Udeid, building a 24/7 gas station in the sky for heavy bombers.
Why?
Step 2.
So this is the
Persistent
way
ISR.
they're planning.
NP-4C Triton drones and RC-135V/W rivet joints have established a permanent electronic watch over every Iranian radar and missile site. Step 3. Forward kinetic seeding. 509th Bomb Wing B-2 Spirits are now at Diego Garcia, while 494th Expeditionary F-15E Strike Eagles, the world's premier bunker busters, are cocked and locked in Jordan.
Oh.
Step 4. Naval encirclement. The USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, and Strike Group 3 have abandoned the Pacific and are racing to the Gulf to join the Aegis destroyers USS
And
Spruance
I think
and USS Michael
Iran might
Murphy.
have noticed it.
Step 5. Digital blindout. US Cyber Command has begun flickering Tehran's secure networks, while 11th Air Defense Patriot and THAAD batteries at Prince Sultan Air Base have officially gone hot. And here is the most chilling fingerprint. The snatch teams are already in place.
Ooh.
The Elite Delta Force and 161st Night Stalkers, the exact units that just executed Operation
Venezuela.
Absolute Resolve to capture Maduro, have moved their MH-60M Blackhawks into Iraq's Diyala and Wasit provinces. They are sitting less than 300 miles from Tehran, waiting for the green light.
But how come in Iraq? Because
most people
normally
think
we have
wars
seen
just-
that Iraq is also not a kind of a friendly nation. So how come they can position their helicopters in Iraq?
How they're allowing them?
Yeah, how come Iraq is allowing them? Because they might know. But Iraq is like they are an enemy of Iran.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay,
Maybe they are
it.
supporting them.
Yeah.
Happen. Like, one bad headline drops and suddenly the Pentagon is scrambling to figure things out on the fly. Huge misconception. That's not how the US military actually operates. The truth is, long before the public ever hears the word conflict, the US military has already spent years, sometimes decades, rehearsing the exact scenarios analysts are watching
Wow.
today. And if you want to understand how the US plans for the Middle East, including Iran, you have to understand one of the most important military exercises most Americans have never heard of. It's called Exercise Internal Look.
Oh.
Internal Look is where the Pentagon stress tests how the entire US military would respond if a crisis in the Middle East suddenly went from bad to uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And the reason Exercise Internal Look exists goes back to one of the most painful failures in modern American military history. In 1980,
Black Hawk
the US
Down?
launched Operation Eagle Claw, a daring
Eagle
mission
Claw.
to rescue 52 Americans held hostage inside the US Embassy in Tehran after Iran's Islamic Revolution. You know how that ended. Helicopters broke down in the desert. A deadly collision killed 8 US service members.
Oh.
The mission collapsed before it even reached Tehran. But the biggest lesson wasn't about helicopters or weather. It was this.
Then
The US military
yeah.
didn't have a system that allowed the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Special Operations to plan and fight as one unified force in the Middle East. That failure forced a reckoning. So in 1981, US Central
So
Command
they did learn
created...
so much from that war because they were like, no, we cannot let that happen again. And this happens with all the countries, because with India too, we feel like sometimes the planning is not there. Because in the Operation Sindoor, you felt like, okay, there should have been more things. Like we could have attacked Pakistan even more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but now what we see, USA always attacks so hard. They're like, when they go in, it's over for other
Yeah,
countries.
because they are superpower, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the reason, because last time somewhere they were wrong in planning. So that made a lesson for them.
Yeah, in
to
the
practice
1980s
more.
they were wrong.
Yes.
After that, they were always right.
A way to put generals, planners, and commanders into a realistic crisis before the real one ever arrived. At first, Iran wasn't even the main concern. During the Cold War, the Pentagon's nightmare scenario was a Soviet push south through Iran's rugged Zagros Mountains,
Zagros.
straight toward the world's most critical
name.
oil routes.
Oh.
So for years,
oil.
Internal
Again.
Look focused on one brutal question. If a
US
superpower
loves
invasion
oil.
hit Iran tomorrow, could the US move enough force, fast enough, to stop it?
Oh.
From the early 1980s through the end of the Cold War, planners repeatedly ran scenarios involving rapid deployments across Iranian terrain, mountain passes, deserts, infrastructure choke points. Which means something important gets overlooked today. The US military has been digitally mapping, modeling, and stress testing Iranian geography for over 4 decades.
Is that legal?
And Internal Look doesn't just simulate conflict.
They are digitally mapping
Its
another
timing has
country.
an eerie reputation. In the summer of 1990, General Norman Schwarzkopf ran an Internal Look scenario centered on a fictional Middle Eastern dictator invading a neighboring country.
Oh.
The exercise wrapped up in July. 1 week later, Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait.
Oh wow.
When the real war came,
What a
the US
coincidence.
wasn't improvising. Operation Desert Storm followed the same command relationships, logistics flows, and operational logic that had just been rehearsed. The pattern repeated in 2002. Internal Look was used to rehearse a rapid, high-tempo campaign into Iraq, one that didn't rely on months of slow build-up. That same planning framework later became the foundation for Operation Iraqi Freedom. The commanders
Iraqi
weren't
Freedom.
guessing. They were executing a play they had already walked through in detail. And here's where Iran enters the picture directly. Most critically, the US has already used this exercise to specifically rehearse a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities.
Yeah, we
In
saw that
2012,
recently.
Internal Look was used to simulate the aftermath of an uncoordinated Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear sites, leading to a wider chaos in the Middle
Whoa.
East, involving significant American casualties. According to
Even the
detailed
symmetry
reports,
looks so
the war
nice.
game
Yeah.
played out a narrative in which the US was pulled into a conflict after Iranian missiles struck a US Navy
We
warship in
saw.
the Persian Gulf.
Fat electrician's video.
That single simulated hit left over 200 Americans dead. A black swan event
Oh my
that made a
God.
full-scale
Oh,
US
kidding.
invasion of the Iranian mainland an absolute certainty.
Oh.
200 casualties is a specific, documented detail from the 2012 leaked reports, famously covered by the New York Times in 2012. The simulation even gamed out US retaliation strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities after Iranian missiles struck a Navy warship. That exercise definitely would have helped recent US operation against Iran nuclear site in Operation Midnight Hammer.
Oh, wow.
And that brings us to the most important part.
Internal Look.
What actually happens inside exercise Internal Look? All right, everyone, listen up. Because if you want to understand how the US military stays at the top of the food chain, you've got to understand the behind-the-scenes logistics that make it happen. We're talking about exercise Internal Look, and I'm going to break down exactly how they move a high-tech war room across the planet. First off, let's talk about the TOCs. That stands for Tactical Operations Centers. Imagine the most high-tech gaming setup you've ever seen.
Wow.
Then put it on steroids and stuff it into massive shipping containers. These aren't just tents. They are climate-controlled modular shelters packed with very large communications pipes, advanced
But
computer
why?
servers, and video conferencing tech.
This is so
These
advanced.
containers are the brains of the operation. When it's time to roll,
The
the
brains.
military doesn't wait around. They pack these TOCs onto heavy lift aircraft in Tampa, Florida, where CENTCOM is headquartered, and fly them halfway around
They
the
are
world to
movable.
places like Qatar.
Easily
Once they hit the
movable.
ground,
Because they're in
they
a
don't just sit
container.
there.
Yes.
They set up a massive command and control complex right in the heart of the Middle East. The goal is simple. Make sure the general can do anything in a desert base that he can do back at headquarters in Florida.
Wow.
Here is where it gets wild. Once these centers are hot, meaning plugged in and powered up, the commanders start what General Tommy Franks called a vividly realistic but bloodless campaign.
Bloodless.
This is
campaign.
high stakes
Oh, wow.
digital
Tagline.
chess. They aren't moving real tanks yet. They are using high tech simulations that map out the terrain pixel by pixel in 3D. These simulations allow the US to practice network centric warfare. This means they link everyone together air,
Oh, wow.
land, maritime,
Oh.
and special operations into one giant digital brain. They can see the whole
Wow.
battle space from a god's eye view and coordinate strikes with insane precision before a single shot is fired in the real world.
So
For
much
decades,
planning
the US
goes
has been
into
using
it.
these
Interesting.
bloodless war games to rehearse exactly how to hit targets, manage logistics, and outmaneuver enemies in Iran. By the time the order comes to go kinetic, the military has already won the war 1,000 times on a screen.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
If
You know,
internal
practice
look
too much,
is the
then it
brain
becomes
of
too
this
easy.
operation, then what we're seeing across the Middle East right now in January 2026 is the muscle finally starting to flex. The simulation is over, and the real-world indicators, the 5 lethal fingerprints of a strike, are appearing in plain sight for anyone who knows where to look. It starts with step 1, the fuel bridge. Open source intelligence and flight trackers have gone into overdrive, detecting a massive silent surge of KC-135 Stratotankers and the advanced KC-46A Pegasus refuelers. These aren't just routine flights. They are forming a continuous aerial pipeline toward Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. Alongside them, heavy lift C-17s and C-5M Galaxies are dumping tons of
But
munitions
why
and
is
spare
Qatar
parts
taking
into
a
the
rivalry
region.
against Iran?
In the world of high-stakes air campaigns, you don't move this much fuel and logistics unless you are preparing to keep
I've never
hundreds
seen,
of
like,
combat jets
Qatar
in the
doing all
air
that
for
stuff.
days
No,
on
they just
end.
help. They don't do
Yeah.
it
But the
directly.
most chilling
Yeah.
indicator isn't just the fuel, it's the shadow warriors moving into position. We've entered step 2 and 3, persistent ISR and forward kinetic seeding. We're seeing a glaring signal with the redeployment of the 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, better known as Delta Force.
Delta Force.
These are the same elite operators who just captured Maduro in a high-stakes grab.
Oh.
And they've
Oh.
now vanished into temporary bases in Iraq's Diyala and
They're just
Wasif
waiting for
provinces,
the command, like,
right on the
Wow.
Iranian doorstep. They are supported by the Night Stalkers of the 161st
Iran is totally
SOAR,
unaware
the
about
world's
all
most
such things?
elite
They might be
helicopter
aware.
pilots,
Yeah.
waiting
But
for
what's
the
the point?
digital blind out to begin,
If
so
US
they can
wants it,
hunt
they get it.
high-value
Yeah.
targets in the dark. High above them, the steel rain is already in place. The Pentagon has moved B-2 Spirit stealth bombers to the remote island of Diego Garcia, putting them within a single flight's reach of Iran's most hardened nuclear sites. Meanwhile, B-52s and B-1 Lancers are rotating through the theater, ready to launch massive
wow.
cruise missile salvos from safely
So
outside
they're near the
Iranian
Maldives and
airspace.
Indian Ocean.
On the
Yeah.
front lines, the 5th generation Ghost Fleet, F-22 Raptors and F-35 Lightnings are packed into Al Dhafra and Al Udeid, while F-15E Strike Eagles at Muwafiq Salti in Jordan are reportedly already cocked and locked for deep strike missions. This isn't a defensive posture. It is an assembled firing squad.
There is, one thing, like always we have heard about like US, like even I think so in 2000s, you both were too young. Even I was too young to like understand what US did to all those other people. Like it used to invade Iran, Iraq, and it was
Yeah.
very strong. But today we are seeing this happening, like how they just go in, they just take the president of
President,
Venezuela.
yeah.
Now they might just go into Iran and they might take the president of Iran. And that like shocks us. Like US can do anything what
And
they want.
it's it's making us fearful, that if the prime minister is doing something wrong, they can just kidnap anyone's prime minister.
Yeah, because it's like we are strong. I can do anything.
yeah.
What's truly fascinating is what's missing from the map, leading us to step 4, naval encirclement. There is a total carrier gap in the Middle East. The USS Gerald R. Ford is tied up in the Caribbean, and the Abraham Lincoln is halfway across the world in the Indo-Pacific. To the untrained eye, it looks like a retreat, but the reality is far more calculated. In place of the massive, easy-to-track aircraft carriers, the US has saturated the region with guided missile destroyers like the USS Mitcher and the USS McFall. These smaller, more agile wolves are stalking the Strait of Hormuz, ready to counter Iranian small boat swarms without the vulnerability
These
of
boats
a
are nothing compared to
100,000-ton
those
carrier
destroyers.
in the way.
Yeah.
Also, there are reports indicating the USS Abraham Lincoln has been ordered to break from the South China Sea to the Middle East to fill the carrier gap. Finally, the shield is being raised for the counterpunch. At Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, Patriot and THAAD missile batteries are locked and loaded, standing guard over the region's oil and military hubs. They are the final piece of the puzzle, designed to catch the inevitable retaliation once the digital blindout of Step 5 begins.
Digital blind.
Every indicator, from the Delta Force snatch teams in Iraq to the B-2 bombers in the Indian Ocean, points to one inescapable conclusion. The Pentagon
Iran
isn't just ready to
It's
strike
going to be
Iran.
attacked.
They are currently waiting for the final green light to execute a
Yeah.
plan they've been perfecting for 45 years.
Whoa!
The countdown has officially started.
Bacon.
But the most important questions are the ones being asked in living rooms across America right now.
After watching watching this video, it just shows like they have digitally like won the war. It just feels like, after watching all such videos regarding the US, it just shows that US is slowly becoming the big daddy of this planet.
They are the big daddy,
Yeah.
and they are taking their rights, like how Iran is like. It does not follow the way US wants everybody to be. It is not democracy. It is like so opposing to what US believes. Everything, because of which US has put so many sanctions on it, and it has still been able to survive. But now I think so US is getting to the tipping point, and they are going to remove the
Like
president.
basically they want countries to be obedient to them.
Yeah.
Yes. And as we are seeing on today's social media, we are getting a doubt somewhere that yet obviously US is up to something right now.
Yeah, I think so, yes. And I think so Iran is going to be attacked in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm just thinking about the Prime Minister, like I'm concerned about the Prime Minister of Iran.
He's not that good also. So
Yeah.
I don't mind if he's attacked. So what do you guys think about it? Do let us know in the comment section below. So do like, share and
Subscribe.
bye.